Hey everybody, it's Nancy Norbeck with this week's Creative Pep Talk, and today I want to talk about doing nothing. And that's a revolutionary idea in our culture because we are told constantly that we should always be doing something, that we should always be productive somehow, that, anytime we give ourselves a break is bad, which is part of why, our culture even struggles with ideas like meditation. But it's important to let ourselves do nothing, especially now that we as a society are addicted to the thing that I am using to record this message, which is a smartphone. We have these things with us all the time so that we are never, ever, ever bored. And doing nothing doesn't necessarily have to equal being bored, but here's the thing. If we don't ever give ourselves a break from doing something, we never allow our brains the opportunity to come up with new things because they're not latched onto somebody else's stuff. Way back in one of the first episodes I ever released with Kelly Flanagan, he talks about how we're raising the first generation of kids that aren't exploring their own creativity, that are only taking in other people's stuff. The same thing is really true of adults. The only difference is that we may at some point in the past have had that opportunity before we were all addicted to screens to have explored our own stuff and therefore have a greater sense of ourselves and our creative selves than our kids have. If you're a parent and you haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend it. And even if you're not a parent, but regardless, we all need a break from screens. We all need a break from doing. And I know that this is hard. A while ago, I was sitting in an exam room in a doctor's office, and I deliberately decided to leave my bag with my phone and my Kindle in it across the room because I decided that I needed to give myself an opportunity to be bored. And I'm not gonna lie, it nearly killed me for the first couple of minutes because I, like everyone else, am so programmed to just, don't have anything to do, pick up the phone, stare at the phone, look at Twitter, look at Facebook, look at whatever. But it's not good for us. And I think we all know that, right? And so I'm not here to pretend that this is, a revelation, that's something that you've never heard before. But I am here to give you permission, in case you need it, and a reminder, which you almost certainly need, that it's important to give your brain a break. It's important to give yourself the reminder that, no, you know what? We are not actually machines. We are not here to churn out widgets all day, every day. We are human beings. We have brains that need to rest. And those brains are much more likely to come up with cool new things all on their own if they're given the opportunity. If we are constantly feeding other people's stuff into them, then there's no opportunity and there's no need for our brains to come up with new things. And so it becomes harder. And then we wonder why we have more trouble coming up with our own creative ideas. Now, obviously, there are ways around creative blocks. I'm not saying that there aren't, and I'm not saying that this is the only way, but this is a really good way to give your brain the rest that it needs and the chance to expand and relax and to have that room to just dawdle and dream and play and wonder about things, which is what I was trying to cultivate in that exam room. And I'm not going to lie to you, it may take some time and some practice to build up your ability to do it. It may mean that you only do it for 30 seconds at a time the first couple times you try it because that's as much as you can take. And that may feel frustrating and disappointing, but it is what it is. And there's no use fighting it. But if you do 30 seconds the first time and maybe the second or third time, and then you make it 45 seconds, and then you make it to a minute, and then you make it to a minute and a half. The more you play with it, the more you add just a little bit every time, you'll eventually get to 5 or 10 minutes. And I don't know that you necessarily need more than 5 or 10 minutes a day. 5 or 10 minutes a day is a whole lot more than most of us are giving ourselves right now. 1 minute is a whole lot more than most of us are giving ourselves right now. And if you are a parent or are around kids, it's a perfect opportunity to set a good example and model the behavior that we're always telling kids that they should, exemplify, that they should aim for. But it's really good for you too. And leaving yourself that room to imagine and wonder and just be bored enough to come up with something new will be really good for your mental health and your creative process. So I encourage you to play with the idea of doing nothing. Let me know how it goes. If you're really frustrated, you can tell me that. I get it. I would actually love to hear from all the people who are frustrated, because then you can all see each other and how frustrated you are. So feel free to leave a comment on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever, and say what your experience is honestly, because you won't be alone. And, see how it goes. Give it time. Give it time to get used to it. I have a feeling that the more you play with this idea, the more you're actually really going to like it. So with that, give it a go. Let me know how it is, and I'll see you next time.